Welcome back, folks. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd. We're out in the shop again, working on the motor, the 355 for the K20. Last night we got it all cleaned up, got it primed and kind of painted. Ran out of spray paint, but I'm not really worried about it because you don't really see it much anyway. So we got the new main bearings in, and the crank and the rods and the main caps, all that stuff torqued. Got the oil pump on, camshaft in, new cam bearings in, all that assembly lubed. Timing is set. We got the timing cover on. So we got all our new, so those are Eagle cast steel rods, and then Summit forged pistons on the other ends. They got ARP rod bolts, and then new bearings. There's our timing cover right here. Yeah, so I'm painting my oil pan currently, so that coat has to dry, and then we can put another coat on it before we are ready to put it on. So we're going to go ahead and clean up some of this oil mess here, make sure all this is clean and ready to go, and then I think we're going to go ahead and put the heads on. So I should probably, this thing is not quite perfect as far as where these holes line up to lock it straight up and down to put like heads on. This is not quite where it needs to be, but it's close enough. So anyhow, yeah, you can see like straight up and down is not where that is. So anyway, it's fine. So we'll get this cleaned up. I got some head gaskets right over here. We'll grab those, throw them on there. I got new head bolts, Felpro head bolts. We'll get all those put in, torque both sides, and then the intake manifold I'm going to use is actually sitting on top of that motor currently. We got to grab that and find all the intake bolts. They're somewhere in that area. So we got to find all those, and then we can bolt the intake on as well. I got new intake gaskets right over there on the floor, actually. So we're going to go ahead and start by bolting the heads on, and then we will probably get the intake on, and then we'll put the oil pan on after it's done drying and all that good stuff. So anyway, here we go. Okay, so we just did our final pass on torquing the head bolts on the second head. So there's a pattern to all this, and you start with the center bolt here, and then kind of work in a circle progressively more outward, ending up on this one. So this is like 16, 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And you start off by doing 25 foot-pounds for all of them, and then you got 45 foot-pounds for all of them, and then 65, or if you have aftermarket fasteners, sometimes it's 70 or 85, something like that, depending on the aftermarket fastener. But for these ones, we just did 70, just because we wanted to give it just a little more clamp, but nothing crazy. So anyhow, yeah, you do all that so that it gets an even torque, kind of actually spreads the head more evenly onto the deck surface and squishes the gasket correctly. Anyhow, yeah, that's putting the heads on. So now I'm gonna go put another coat of paint on the oil pan quick, and then we'll go ahead and try and get intake manifold, I think, on here. And very well, we'll put the low lifters in and stuff like that, and then see where we're at. But anyway, that's where we're at so far. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our oil pan on down there. We got our heads bolted on. We got our intake bolted on. Just put the fuel pump back on with a new gasket. Everything's got new gaskets except the oil pan. We use silicone for that, but that's okay. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll find out if it leaks or not. We'll see. We'll deal with it if it doesn't. But anyhow, we got to swap the thermostat housing over from the old intake, and then we got to plug this vacuum port here with a plug from the old intake. Let's see what else. This is going to be where our thermostat goes. It used to, on the old intake, this is where the heater core hose would come in, but on these heads, it would be right here. There'd be a port right here, and that's where the old thermostat hooked up. And these heads, you can drill it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to run it to here and then run the heater core hose to the water pump instead. But I'm not sure if my hose will be long enough, so I'm just going to pinch it off for now and deal with that a little bit later, because I won't be needing that too much right now. Main thing I want to do is just get it running and then worry about the heating truck. So anyway, we got to swap the thermostat over and a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and put the valve covers on here in a second. I think I'm going to swap out all of these studs for the ones that are in those heads that came off of this motor, just because these ones are cheap, and they usually break when you're trying to put everything on there and get it tight so it won't leak. But anyway, that's what we got done so far. We're going to go ahead and keep going on this and see where we end up. This thing all bolted back together. Exhaust manifolds are back on. Got our power steering bracket right here. Just need to put spark plugs in this thing. And then oil, obviously, and then we'll prime the oil pump before we put the distributor back in. Yeah. So, oh, I gotta swap over the carburetor studs too yet, but we can do that tomorrow night. So spark plugs, carburetor studs, oil, prime, and then it's ready to go back in. We'll get the distributor down in there. Yeah, carburetor bolted back on, hook everything up. I'm hoping we can hear this thing run tomorrow night. We'll see, again, how everything goes, you know. Everything always takes a little longer than it should, but now this thing's got nice aluminum heads on it, a newer, well, maybe not newer. Yeah, it's definitely newer, never mind. I saw a note somewhere on, I think it was on the crankshaft possibly, that this thing was freshened up in 2008. So, newer intake, should be slightly better as far as performance anyway. New valve covers, painted timing cover, new to it camshaft, used camshaft. All those parts are actually used, so sorry if I said new, but new to this motor. And then it's got forged pistons and steel cast rods, but all new used stuff. Gently used, I guess. Well, not gently used, but whatever. You get the picture. Nice stuff in here. So it's all freshened up and ready to go. Oil pan's on. Down there, gasket's drying for that thing, and we should be all set to go in tomorrow and hear it, hopefully. We'll see what happens, you know. But yeah, so for the video for tonight, thanks for watching. If you stuck with me all the way, that's great. We really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody who watches, and like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. See you on the next one.